Hello, and thank you for joining me on this third day of drawing eyes in black and white. We're studying value. So just like I did the previous 2 days, draw a great big circle that represents the whole eyeball, a smaller circle to represent the iris, and then an even smaller circle for your pupil. Draw a line across the eye to mark where the corners of the eye fall, and then you're just going to use the iris to gauge where those eyelids fall and get to get the actual shape of your eye just by putting in the center parts where they fall in the iris, and that gives you usually a pretty good shape. You can see that I drew in a little closer to the eye, but I left that outside line. That's because we can actually see the inside of the eyelid on the reference picture that I'm using, but make sure that if you're following along with me, just take it nice and slow, watch a little bit, rewind, watch it again if you need. I do recommend looking for your own reference picture though. I've just got an eye that's kind of looking to the side. You can apply these techniques to any reference picture you like. And don't be afraid to go dark with your pencil because we're going to be going over this with a layer of acrylic paint. That's what I'm painting in today, just like the previous days, still working in acrylics. And that'll soften out those lines, so you don't want to lose them, all that hard work getting your shapes right. You can see me darkening up some of those lines. And yep, just a very kind of medium gray, tinted more towards the lighter side. And again, this is so that we can go in, like I'll be doing here in just a minute. I'm defining where my darks and my lights are. And putting that gray down over the white allows us to do that. So I am going to, since this is the third day, I'm going to go ahead and throw on some music. Feel free to mute the video if you would like and just follow along with your own music. Enjoy whichever way you would like to. I'm going to come back in near the end to talk about the eyelashes and compare all three photos together, but just things to note about the techniques that I'm doing. As previous videos, I'm loading up a lot of paint on my brush. Every time I'm coming up to the canvas, I'm dotting it in the areas where I see the different values and shadows, the light areas, and then I'm just using my finger to blend and to smudge. And that's the big thing, is that except for a few key areas on the eye, there are no hard lines, but we are definitely going to be very fiddly and one step at a time and just kind of keep going over each area. Build up your layers. That's how we're going to build the translucency of the skin, is that there's all these layers that are happening there. So enjoy. I'm going to talk with you guys at the end. All right, coming back in here, and we are working on the eyelashes. I wanted to talk to you about this just because this is a key point that I've been working up to in this last video and the previous ones, is figuring out these eyelashes. So what I find that works for me is using the matte medium about half and half with just straight black paint. I'm using a script liner here, and I don't have a quick trick for you on eyelashes to get them to look realistic and fall nice. I do recommend you just got to put them in one at a time. Make sure that you are following the edge of your eyelid so it feels like they're growing up and out. And that's just something you can look when you study them, and that's the biggest thing that I can recommend, especially doing different angles like this. I was a little daunted trying to do an eye to the side because when it's straight on, you just got those nice up and down wispies. But here, when you have an angle, you can see that on the edge, those eyelashes are actually pointing down, and they're creating a lot of that shadow that we put in earlier. So here I'm coming in, just being really wispy, and I'm just paying attention to where in the reference photo those eyelashes flip from looking like they're pointing downward to pointing upwards. And for my reference photo, it's kind of right at the apex of the eye. It's right at the top part there. And that is the biggest thing that I hope you've taken away from this video, is when you're trying to paint realistically or just trying to paint accurately as you're studying a new subject, give yourself time to fiddle around with it. Give yourself time to actually add in all these extra details and depth. And you can see as we compare all of these, all the way on the left, that very first one was the shortest video that I did. It took me the least amount of time, and I was just getting a feel. It's all right, but there's not a lot of depth there. We moved to the middle one. It's a little more stylistic, I would say, kind of realistic. I'm really happy with how the iris turned out, and overall you can see that we're getting there. But here, by this third one, this is the longest video that I've done, and I spent the most amount of time on this, just getting those skin tones right. And as you could see, it's just layering, layer after layer after layer. That is how you get better. You just have to invest that time, give yourself that time. Now, if you join me again, we are going to be moving on to noses. They are a lot trickier. They happen to be entirely made of shading, except for the nostrils, so it's going to be a new adventure. I hope you join me. See you next time. Bye.